This is the All Things Nerd Podcast, Season 4, Episode 22. On tonight's cast, we talk about Superman flies again, kind of, a little bit, in the background. We also, we also talk about Labyrinth 2 in the works and SpaceX failure to launch. But there were some cool things that people found out about it. That and much more. And here's the intro. Hello to all the Geek Enthusiasts and Nerd Aficionados. This is Mess 5150, welcoming you back to another All Things Nerd podcast. I am back with a bunch of other Geek Enthusiasts and Nerd Aficionados to talk to you about the latest in weekly nerd news headlines. It's our live weekly nerd news roundup every Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Twitch, 11 p.m. Eastern at www.twitch.tv/Malice Corp. Thank you to everybody that has joined us tonight. Make sure to jump in the chat room. Let us know what your thoughts are on the topics we have to talk about. We got a lot of fun stuff to do tonight. The first thing we start out with, as always, is getting your geek on.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Getting your geek on is what we've been doing for the last week. The stuff to kind of tickle our nerd fancies, as I always say, to help the time pass if you're still in quarantine. My geek out, I finally finished Once Upon a Time, the entire binge, watching the whole series.
Oh my god.
All 7 seasons.
I can't believe you made it through Little Bo Peep turning people into zombies.
Where was that?
Spoiler alert.
Wait. I watched all 7 seasons. I didn't see that happen.
It must be that one where you were sleeping with the kid in your arms.
Yeah. I want to say it was like season 4 or something like that. It's like they went back to wherever.
Well, season 4 is kind of where they jumped the shark a little bit. That's where it became Disney-fied, because that's when Frozen came into it, and you're like, this was kind of cool up until the Frozen storyline, but then they went away from that, and they went back and got a little bit better. One thing I've noticed, my assumption is that at the end of Lost, they don't just disappear and die into the white or whatever it is. They end up in Once Upon a Time, because you have actors from Lost, and you have Apollo candy bars in Once Upon a Time, as well as the whiskey. So that's what happened to them. They ended up in Once Upon a Time. They're living their Disney lives. And that, and I've been catching up on The Walking Dead. I've got 2 episodes left of this last season to fully catch up on.
And
so
thoughts without giving away anything?
Little Bo Peep turning people into zombies.
Good twist on Negan, because I was like, is he really any redeemable at all after all this?
What do you mean twist on Negan?
Well, I mean the whole
You mean exactly what happens in the series?
Yeah, well, not with Carol.
Okay, well yeah, obviously they can't do what they do it with because he's no longer there.
I know. That and I wasn't too keen on the Michonne exit episide.
Well, we're not done with Michonne yet.
I know she's going to the movies.
Yes.
So, which is what I called it. So, but yeah, no, I still like the season. So that's me. That's Mess 51. What my geek out has been. Let's move on to everybody else. We have Aloni on the cast. What have you been geeking out on, Elle?
So pretty similar to what you've been geeking out of, South Park. I've actually been watching it backwards, starting with the latest season, going back. So we got to the Sent a Human iPad episode now. Yeah, that show is ridiculous, but it's fun to rewatch. That and making my husband say, "My name is David, and I ride my tiny bicicleta to school." That's what I've been nerding out on.
So, are you going back on South Parks, or just we're like what the just the last season or something like that? No,
so my husband and I started watching it, which is why I do the David line, because his name is David. So I think it's great. No, we started at season, where are they on now? 23 or 22, and just been like, watch that
in the 30s.
Oh God, whatever they have on Hulu. Start the last season there, watch all that, then go to the season before it, and so on. So,
nice. Also joining us on the cast, we have the Bearded Master. What have you been geeking out on?
I have been geeking out on wrestling all week long. Trying to catch up on that because I got behind last week. But other than that, been watching a little bit of everything. keep going with the X-Men cartoon series that's on Disney Plus. Now that HBO Max is on, they have a bunch of stuff on there. Big Bang Theory, the entire series is on there, as well as all the Godzilla movies. Well, not all of them, but a lot of the Godzilla movies are on there. So started working my way through those. But other than that, yeah, I kind of caught up in a couple episodes of the last few episodes of 13 Reasons Why, because I thought that the season was premiering today, but I was a week off, and I did that instead of getting ready to watch Space Force. But that's what I've been geeking out on all week.
I forgot that came out today, huh? Space
Yes,
Force.
it did.
Nice. Also, we have kind of Cannon Fodder in the chat room. He watched all of Upload on Amazon. We also have Charlie50245 joining us in the chat. What have you been geeking out on, Charlie? And Jack says he watched all of Community in the chat room. Jack Malice, our producer.
I feel like everybody's like goal for the quarantine, because everyone I talk to, even outside the show, people at work, everyone has binged or gone through Community over the last 2 months. So whether they got a second life on because of Netflix or because Netflix is losing everything else, I don't know. Maybe because Joel McHale popped his name up with Tiger King. I don't know. Whatever it is, Community has been in the forefront of everybody's binge list for the last 2 months.
It's so that it just popped up on Netflix, so that skyrocketed because it was number 2 on Netflix for the first like 2 weeks that it got on there first, and then Avatar popped back up on Netflix, so that shot up to number 1 on Netflix. So everybody's rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender. So yeah, our co-host also on the cast, Mr. Masonic Vader. What have you been geeking out on?
Oh, well, it was kind of a slow geek out week. Started off kind of geeking out for the SpaceX, which we'll talk about later, especially because that was going to be kind of cool. I was going to be doing in conjunction with my other job. Been kind of geeking out on some news we might be talking about today. I'm not sure if you guys will probably recognize that at all. And most importantly, I'm geeking out because one of my favorite shows came back last week, and we just noticed it came on Hulu. It was Holy Moly. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
The miniature golf.
The miniature golf. If you haven't seen that yet, it's like watching Wipeout, but putting miniature golf to it. But what makes it priceless is the commentary. Yeah, Rob Riggle and the other guy who I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. I think it's like Jason something. But they are an awesome commentating team, and they're a hell of a lot better this second season. It's incredible. I'm laughing every episode. So yeah, holy moly, good times.
And the last person on our cast to get her geek out, we know what she's been geeking out on today. She got another year older. It was her birthday today. But Super Whovian Freak, what are you geeking out on?
I started Justified, so I'm like 6 episodes in. I've seen quite a few of the episodes, but scattered throughout. So I figured I'd finally watch it in like chronological order because I really liked Timothy Oliphant. Because I also forgot Space Force was debuting today. I wondered why I was getting like 15 emails from Netflix, and well, now I know why. And then HBO Max too. Like I watched Aquaman again, and I forgot how bad Amber Heard was in that movie.
Isn't it awesome that we're not going to be getting her in the second one?
So.
Yeah, thank God she won't be in the second one. Hopefully they get someone with some actual chemistry and whatnot. And then I rewatched some really old school Looney Tunes cartoons because that was fun.
Nice. Masonic Vader redeemed once more with feeling, which means that they make me sing a song, and if they want to redeem more, they can make other people sing a song. But he wants me to sing "Happy Birthday" to you. So
once more with feeling. Oh, that's funny. That's the Buffy musical.
Yes, that's why it's called "Once More with Feeling."
Everybody, go ahead and mute your mic so it doesn't take over his spectacular singing voice. Go for it.
I have a terrible singing voice. And isn't there a copyright on Happy Birthday? I don't know.
I don't think there is.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Super Whovian Freak. Happy birthday to you. But I'm
cha.
That wasn't so bad.
No, it wasn't so bad. But you see,
somewhere out there, you're singing.
Casting it in, they can make other people on the cast sing too. So.
Oh, nice.
And I guarantee if there was a copyright on Happy Birthday, that they can't find the parts for it. So.
No, there actually is. That's why Stevie Wonder came out with his Happy Birthday, because there was a copyright. He couldn't sing just regular Happy Birthday.
Best 3,000 coins I've spent so far. Thank you, sir.
There we go. That's what we've been geeking out on. Let's get into this cast. And because we're talking about birthdays, anytime a birthday happens, we do what's called Getting to Know the Malice cast. And this is Getting to Know Super Whovian Freak.
Getting to know,
Super Whovian Freak.
getting to know all about.
Super Whovian Freak. Getting to know the Malice cast is basically two truths and a lie. We get two truths and a lie from the person to find out what we know about them if we know them well enough.
And it just goes in any order?
Yeah, just give us two truths and a lie, however order you want to, and then we got to guess what. And the chat room, of course, you can join in as well. What you think the lie is and what you think the truths are. What you think.
Okay.
Lies.
All right. Well, then, interviewed once to work as an apprentice pastry chef over at the Bellagio. I've met James Worthy, Norm Nixon, and Michael Cooper, and I've been ziplining in Hawaii.
Oh.
I think the lie is the zip lining in Hawaii. The other two just sound too cool.
They sound too awesome.
All three of them sound awesome, man.
What do you got? What do you got, Bearded Master?
I'm going on a stretch, guy. Even though I think this is the truth one. I'm going to say the pastry chef.
And what about you, Al?
I think it was the second one because I think it's gonna be one of those things like it wasn't this one specific person, it was one other specific person, and
All
just
three of
changed it. You guys got to realize I've never met any of you in person because when I started this thing, it's all been the pandemic. So I literally know you in this 5x7 square that is my computer screen.
That's a small
I'm going with Vader.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with Vader. I'm going with the Hawaiian one as well.
The ziplining in Hawaii.
Yes.
Is the
Cannon Potter says pastry chef is the lie. Go ahead.
is the lie. Is anyone else ringing in?
That's it.
I was waiting to see if Jack dropped anything, but he probably knows because he's known
probably
me forever.
dropping the deuce.
He's,
All right, keep going.
he's too busy crying about his birthday being in the off season.
He said, well, Super can bake. That's the reason I didn't go with that one. But which one's a lie?
I didn't zip line in Hawaii. We kayaked and we parasailed, but we didn't zip line because at the day we went to go do it, the zip line was down. So, but
so,
I did
tell us
interview
about the two stories. Yes.
Yeah, I
Tell us
did
about the
interview outside of pastry school. My chef at pastry school had a connection with the Bellagio. I interviewed, I got the job, but the person that I was supposed to move with to Vegas flaked out. And I shouldn't say flaked out. I mean, she's actually married to the guy that she started dating. They have 3 kids. It worked out great for them. But I couldn't afford the apartment and everything on my own. So I ended up taking a job at the Four Seasons out here in Irvine. And then as far as meeting the 3 Lakers, that happened during the playoffs. Was it 2001 or 2002? I think it was the year that they did the three-peat. So the third,
Nice.
I was out at Disneyland at the ESPN zone. My friend and I were going to go into the ESPN zone and watch it because they had the live ABC set up there. Happened to be on my birthday as well. And but we were like the last people to not get in. So they only let a certain amount of people in. We were literally like, oh, sorry. And I tried playing the birthday card, but it didn't work. So we ended up sitting outside to watch it. Well, it was pouring rain. And so they took pity on us and let us in afterward. Because we were like soaking wet. We're in like tank tops and shorts. And so they let us in and we were sitting at the booth. They had like a little table up near the front for VIPs. So they let us sit there since it was my birthday and we were the only people outside watching it in the rain. And they came over afterwards during the halftime show because they were doing the show with the guy that does the ABC. What's that Asian guy's name? Rob Takanaka or something like that. That guy. Yeah. And so they came over and they came over and introduced themselves and shook my hand and stuff because it was my birthday.
Nice. And whenever you're talking about stuff having to do with pastry chef, you should always say flaked because that is the greatest pun that
I was waiting for her to finish to make that reference. And
yeah, exactly.
She did that.
I shouldn't have said flaked. No, flaked is what you say when you're talking about being
exactly.
Pastry chef. Give us
like the bread on some sort of blah 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 blah.
Give us one more. Give us one more two truth and a lie.
Oh, once up in Alaska, we got stranded on the side of the road. I fell off a high dive at RCC, and let's see what's something. Oh, in Washington D.C., someone knocked me over on the bus, and I got stuck in the bus seats with my shoulder wedged.
Yeah, these all sound realistic for you.
I know, but that's the fun thing.
If anybody has watched the old videos on Malice Corp's YouTube channel for walking around San Diego Comic-Con, and you see Super Whovian stick her head into this
hole in the wall,
this tick visage that had smoke coming out of it, and start gasping for air because it was not mist. It was you'll notice this type of stuff does happen to her. Yeah, go ahead. Masonic, what do you think? Which one's
wait, that was only 2 things, wasn't it? What's the third?
No, I said 3.
Stranded?
Right, so, stranded where?
Stranded in Alaska on the side of the road in between Anchorage and Fairbanks.
Okay.
Fell off a high dive at RCC, which was Riverside Community College. And then the third one was someone knocked into me on the bus, and I fell in between the seats and got my shoulder stuck.
I'll go with number 2, the high dive one.
What about you, Elle?
Yeah, that sounds about right. The other one's like the.
When you know 2 cities,
you off the high dive, but somebody probably stranded you in Alaska, and somebody like pushed you into the bench in DC. So,
yeah. And Bearded,
I feel like she did get pushed off in the pool, but it wasn't the high dive, so I'm gonna go with the 3P on the high dive.
Yeah, no, I've never fallen off a high dive. My sister Beth fell off the high dive once and had to be transported to the hospital. I don't even know what happened. Like, she went to go like dive off, and then she just kind of like stumbled and fell and like hit her head on the back of the high dive and like just hit the water like a rock. But yeah, I got stuck in a bus on DC. Someone tripped over backpacks in 8th grade, and they bowled into me like a bowling ball, pushed me into the seat, and my shoulder got stuck. They had to take the seat out.
Oh damn!
And get me out. It's like, I used to have it on video too because they recorded the trip and everything like that, but the video got damaged when my old car got hit, rear-ended on the freeway.
Got damaged.
Yeah.
And then,
so that's how they came up with that bus law. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
all right, we figured that one out.
It was ridiculous. It took like 2 hours out of our trip.
I definitely knew it wasn't the first one, because anyone that can name at least 2 cities in the state of Alaska is definitely not telling a lie there.
Worst road trip ever.
Ever.
Unless you really just like looking at trees, I don't ever recommend making that 8-hour drive from Fairbanks to Anchorage. Ugh. So boring.
There's the getting to know Super Whovian Freak for you. If you guys have any other questions for her, look for her on Twitch or on Twitter at Super Whovian Nut. Let's move on with the show. It's the end of the month, so it's time for What the Upfronts.
Upfronts.
What the Upfronts is, well, usually there's TV show upfronts that happen every year showing the new TV shows that are coming out. However, because of COVID, it didn't happen this year, but there was still a lot of pilots that were ordered. So we are doing What the Upfronts TV Pilot Edition. This is where I go through some of the shows that were ordered, give the title to everybody here on the cast, and they give me their hopefully comedic response, but they could be a truthful response as well if they'd like to, what they think the show is about based entirely off of just the name of the show alone.
Can I fix that really quick? Everyone gives a comedic response, and Super actually tells us what the show is. That's how it's supposed to go. That's how it goes.
It's not how it's supposed to go. That's usually how it goes. So, first one, jury duty. Who wants to go first?
It's a spin-off of The Office, and it's the year that Toby is on the Scranton Strangler case, and we're going to hear an entire series about Toby's experience.
That would be called the Flenderson Files. Come on.
And you got one, Masonic?
Oh man, the only thing that pops in my head, it's a political satire, but that's about as far as I'm going on that, because we keep politics out of here.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Is it
Go ahead.
Is it a mockumentary on how a jury would be on the pandemic? Virtual jury duty? I would pay to see someone be at jury duty in like their underwear.
You got to guess, Al?
Paladecki's not involved in this, Sarah.
No.
I'm hoping it's like cops, but instead of following some cops around, it's following the juries around, deliberating.
I think you're pretty close in all honesty, because all it is it's a comedy, but it's a group of jurors are sequestered together until they all agree on a verdict, and they can't even agree on lunch. And it's got Jack Cutmer Scott from Deception, Megan Roth from Hawaii Five-0, Seti Calvano, Alana Ubach, and it's gonna be on CBS.
Sounds like a lot that I don't want to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like 12 Angry Men, except the comedic version of it.
How many seasons can you get out of that? In all honesty,
well, every season could be a different case, so it could be anything.
Every season being a different day.
Yeah, but you can only go to. Is it going to be like 24? Like there's a different situation every single day, but
Oh God.
Only if they get
you can only be put on jury duty every year, 6 months.
Yeah, but if it's a grand jury though, it could last like 6 months.
That's true.
It started with a guy getting arrested for stealing eggs. There you go. Let's just start there, and it just blows up from there.
Yeah, Cannon Fodder said it was the sequel to 12 Angry Men. Okay, moving on to the next show. Raised by Wolves.
Is that Jungle Book 2?
There's a show that came on after This Is Us. It's like the raised by a group of men or whatever it's called, House of Men or whatever. I feel like it's the satire version of that, where these just single dads are all raising their group of children, no mothers involved, and it's meant to be funny, and it's going to fall on its face.
I'm gonna stick with the documentary aspect and hoping it's a documentary of feral children that they find that is narrated by Liam Neeson.
I thought you were going to go with something like it's about cat owners and their cats who invade the shows live.
Basically, what she said was this is what turns Liam Neeson into his character in The Grey.
What do you got, Super?
It's Amish kids taken from their homes on the farm and released out into the wild, and they get introduced to sugar for the first time.
Yes.
I'm down with that. I'm totally down with that.
Rumspringa.
And a Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
It is also
let them fight over pie.
It is also a comedy. It is Frankie Wolf is an unfiltered, irreverent, powerful businesswoman with no personal life. When Frankie's impossibly fragile and neurotic sister, Tommy, abandons Quincy, an incredibly bright inner-city child who Tommy attempts to foster, Frankie is faced with the choice of taking him in or casting him back out. Can these two lonely, damaged people find the love and companionship that has eluded them their whole lives?
No.
Attached to that one?
No. I go 4 episodes. 4 episodes.
It's got Julie Bowen.
5 episodes. 5 episodes.
She's backing out because she made the Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, sounds terrible.
Cannon Fodder said the John Connor story.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, 2 more shows. The Three of Us.
The Three of Us.
I saw that show in the 70s. It's called
a Three's Company remake.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Exactly.
I was gonna say it's the white bread version of the Three Amigos.
I was gonna say it was
If they do that,
the female response to 2.5 Men.
Oh, jeez.
God, I hope it's not Will Smith doing some kind of interview thing with his kids. I mean, half of it already, you know. I mean,
that's the right people, isn't it?
Yeah, is that what your guess is?
I'll go with it. What the hell? I'll go with it.
I love Cannon Fodder's guess in the chat room. The story of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. The three of them. It is adult siblings who are children of divorce must circle the wagons when their sister's husband unexpectedly announces he wants to call it quits on their marriage.
Jesus.
It's a comedy.
That doesn't sound funny at all. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. Why?
Like
I mean,
This is us cousins or something.
Let's
You know,
glorify and laugh about divorce here, people.
It's got Oliver Hudson from Splitting Up Together and Malin Eckerman from Billions and many other things she's been in.
2 episodes. 2 episodes.
So are they supposed to be married? Because Oliver Hudson's hilarious because he's also in Rules of Engagement and in the Sandler movies.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it. Malin Malin Ackerman's in it too. Damn it.
I thought with the pandemic, all the writing should be getting better. What the hell? They got nothing else to do. Can we come
It'll
up
definitely
with
be on the Hulu.
The pilot season for this year was all ordered before the pandemic. So
damn it. All right. Yeah. We're stuck with this. All right, keep going.
All right. Last one. United States of Al.
Oh, please tell me they're bringing Al Bundy back. Al Bundy. Al Bundy, please. Al Bundy is president of the United States. There you go. I'm down with that. Totally down with that.
So he didn't say owl like OWL.
No, Al.
Al Bundy.
A-L. Al. Like
and it's
Al
called
Bundy,
what?
The United States of Al.
Oh man. I'd take Al Bundy as president.
Yes. See, there we go.
I mean, they were already talking about married to grandchildren, so might as well.
I mean, Ed O'Neill is freed up. He got time on his hand. Modern Family over. He need to make that paycheck.
Can
you imagine Peggy's the first president? That'd be our first.
Well, I mean, Katie Seagal's in it. Didn't sign me up because she's money and everything.
I mean,
what you got to guess, Elle?
No, Masonic took mine.
Yes.
So everybody just went to that. Now you didn't go to the second thing that popped in my head immediately. Cannon Fodder put Tool Time sequel because I was thinking Al Borland.
Richard Karn coming back. There you go.
I'm pretty sure Last Man Standing is still on the air, unfortunately.
Whoa, calm down.
Oh yeah, no.
But he's only a reoccurring guest on that show, not a main cast member.
Okay, I'm thinking Tim Allen. I honestly don't know who else is on that show.
Well, if it's a two-time sequel, it's called Al, then it'd be Al Borland. So...
Oh, that's right. That was his name, the little nerdy guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nerdy guy.
This hurts. This hurts. So, the guy you can only see this much, right?
Yeah.
Not Wilson. That's Wilson.
No, that's Wilson.
Oh, is it?
Wilson.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Home Improvement. It's on Hulu. It's okay.
He kicked off the whole bearded culture, man. Al Borland beard.
That's right. Mix them up.
Yeah. So, okay. The show's it follows the friendship between Riley, played by Parker Young from Enlisted, a Marine who is struggling to readjust to civilian life in Ohio, and Al-Walmir, also known as Al, the Afghan interpreter by Adhir Kalyan from Rules of Engagement, who served with his unit and has just come to the U.S. to start a new life. It is a comedy.
That doesn't sound like a comedy.
That just sounds like The Odd Couple, like all over again.
You know what it sounds like? No, it sounds like
Perfect Strangers.
That's it. Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
Perfect Strangers.
But it doesn't sound like a comedy.
I love Perfect Strangers. It's the team that's putting this together is executive producer David Ghosh, Maria Ferrer from Big Bang Theory, Chuck Lorre. It's got a big, massive team behind it. So it actually
it's on CBS?
CBS, yeah.
CBS.
They got to fill that Big Bang Theory slot.
Yep. So that's what we got for this this edition of What the Upfronts.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna start writing a script though for
absolutely.
Yeah.
Al Bundy as president.
I'm down, dude. I'm that's my pandemic summer right there, buddy. Yes.
Okay. Now it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of the show, and that's the nerd news. These are the hot topics, the hot headlines of this week in nerd, geek, and pop culture. The first one was dropped by Mr. Masonic Vader because anytime there is anything with the big S, meaning Superman, he drops an article to us and we talk about it because we like to pander to Masonic Vader.
Well, it's because I'm the only one that actually, knows the truth. Batman likes Superman, so there you go.
Is that what it is? Okay. Yeah. So a while back, we reported from sources and everything that Henry Cavill was pretty much done with Superman. He did his weird little video where he held up a action figure of himself, and then the music was playing, weird music, and he never said a word. He just stared at the screen. And then news came out that they were kiboshing Superman and going with Supergirl instead to forefront the DCU. And now the DCU is kind of falling apart. They're going different ways. And what's coming up is now it appears that Henry Cavill is still going to be playing Superman in a limited role. He's going to be basically the Incredible Hulk of the DC films. He'll be there, but not the main thing. So what do you guys think on the whole aspect? I'll let Vader go first. I know he's dying to talk about this one.
I could have waited, but I think it's awesome news. I think he's the closest thing we've had to an actual Superman since Christopher Reeve, more realistic. When you kind of look at how he explains how a Superman character goes, I like the fact that he's not too goofy, nerdy, kind of like Christopher Reeves or anything prior to that. But at the same time, he's got something different about him. More importantly, though, as the DCUs find out, the reason why Marvel can kick the crap out of them in the movie theaters is a simple fact that they can keep people for 25 plus movies and not care what happens and whatnot. They ride the ghost, they keep riding it, and things keep happening from it. So it's good that DCU is bringing him back as Superman because of the simple fact that anyone who is a Superman fan does like him as Superman, and it gives a little bit more, it gives a little bit more solidarity to the DCU as they're trying to rebuild. I mean, they kept Aquaman, they kept Wonder Woman. If they ditch Batman and Superman, put new people in there, it screws everything up. So I'm glad they're at least putting him back in. It's just a matter of what kind of craziness is going to happen with Batman now, since they've got good old Supes coming back. Yeah.
Anybody else?
I like him. As long as they don't make him a, what's the phrase, Dusak Mechana or whatever, as long as he's not just in there. Yeah, there you go. As long as he's not just a cameo in there to come in, save the day, and then peace out. I like ensemble movies. I like them a little bit better than focusing on one character. I think it's fun, and I think that's why Marvel works. Because you have
like
more
I said,
of an ensemble.
The way they've pretty much described it is that he will be
He's going to be more like Nick Fury. He's going to be more like Nick Fury.
You think he's going to be in that small of a role?
The article says it. The article says like a Nick Fury, and then it says like Bruce Banner.
No, it says or a Hulk.
Right, but it says Nick Fury first.
Yeah.
So it went first.
I would be cool with that. I like it.
Two things.
What do you think?
One, if they use him, then he better still have a contract to be Geralt. Because if they take away my Geralt, I'll be very upset. And two, if
he's got that locked down.
Huh?
He's got that
locked down.
Yeah.
He reached out to play Geralt.
So there should be no scheduling conflicts. And two, no more of this CGI mustache thing. I think Superman should have mustache, be mustachioed.
No. Yep. Superman's clean face. It's just unfortunately when you do another multi-billion or $1 million movie at the same time or right afterwards, and they screw up on some stuff, and you can't get rid of the beard. Well, then you get CGI potato face.
If he has like some chroma stubble going on, like, bruh, he's sexy Superman.
What did you think of it, Bearded?
I'm not. So, Jack Mouse, I'm sorry, but I'm not a Superman fan.
Neither is he. So
however, I thought he was
I'm a Superman fan.
So, however, that being said, I think Henry Cavill played the role right and well. But once DC and Warner Brothers started screwing crap up, they needed to go a different direction. And now I'm pissed off because they're going to bring him back in as let's call him a superhero supervisory role. And then we lost Ben Affleck as Batman, which I love Ben Affleck as Batman. I think he was going to go fantastic with that role, but because of the uncertainty and the inconsistency that DC and Warner Brothers is, we lost him, we lost Snyder, we lost Henry Cavill. It's just ridiculous. And the fact that now they're like, we screwed up. Let's try to save our butts now. Let's bring him back. I think it's a little too late. Just put it that way. I don't think it's going to be good enough. I'm just not excited about it because now the entire time I see him in there, I'm just going to be thinking it would have been better if we still had Batfleck.
But now, hold on a sec. Could you? One of the things I thought about when they did re-sign him was when you read the article and stuff, the situation that came upon it, where he was at that Snyder online thing where they rewatched it and stuff like that. They were watching Man of Steel or whatever movie it was, and then they announced it there. Could this be the possibility of them pulling off a James Gunn? Because, I mean, Marvel and Disney effed up with James Gunn, and the fans cried havoc, and they re-signed him. And so could this be
the whole thing with the Snyder Cut being released? Is that they're going to bring him back to let him do his
I think it's totally plausible. And I think Batman is one of the few characters that you could actually maybe run a couple movies. I know they can't get rid of Pattinson because he's signed and they're already making a movie.
But the plus thing there is that Patterson, whatever his name is playing a young Batman. So
yeah, exactly.
They don't really. It's no different than like they can easily play it off. No different than the Joker movie being a standalone. It's even though it's a detective movie and it's a standalone movie for the most part.
I could see
Affleck won't come back. He was burned so badly from everything was taken away from him during. He was supposed to direct, and then that was taken. Then he was supposed to write, then that was taken. It's just he doesn't want to ever play that character.
You know what? I wouldn't count it out, though. I really wouldn't count it out because, when Gunn got fired and it's Disney, when Disney puts their foot down, nothing changes. You know what I'm saying? That's it. But
DC and Warner Brothers doesn't have Disney money to get Ben Affleck.
It does. I think they could pull it off if he wants to do it. If they talk to him the right way, they could get him back in.
It'd be nice.
Cannon fodder. If they can get good writers, it might be good. But it's not going to be a Superman film. That's the thing. He's just a
cameo.
I don't think they'll use him that week, though. I think he'll be. God, what's the best way to kind of explain it? I guess kind of like how they're able to pull off the Avengers, but Captain America or / Iron Man doesn't have to be in every single scene. I think he's one of those guys where, let's just say, if it was Batman versus Superman, he could be in there 35% of the time. You'd be happy.
I think that what Warner Brothers is doing is they're following the approach that Marvel did with, like you said, Nick Fury or the Hulk, where they went, hey, you know what? People like these stories, but they don't do well because people come back and complain about stuff. Like every time they did a Hulk film, it didn't do as big as they were hoping for, and so that's why Hulk storylines got merged into other movies to still give you what you liked of the Hulk, but not a full Hulk movie. They just won't do a full Hulk movie. And so I think it's going to be the same thing, that there was enough people that were pissed off about Batman versus Superman, which was supposed to be the sequel to Superman. There was enough people that didn't really like the version of Superman that was in Man of Steel.
You mean a realistic one?
Yeah. But there was a lot of people who did.
DC,
They're going to put him as a side character. He'll be there, but he's not going to get his full movies anymore.
But how do you have Superman, who's like the superhero of all superheroes, as a
Nick Fury
backup character? You just don't. Like, doesn't matter what role he's in. If Clark Kent,
Supergirl's done it for 5 seasons.
It's Supergirl though.
It's Supergirl.
It's if you have Clark Kent or Superman they're going to overshadow everybody in it.
But that's what they were leading towards originally before this news came out, was that they were leading towards Supergirl was going to be the new person cast to take on the mantle of being and that's what I think they're still going to do it that way, but they're going to use Henry Cavill to come in and still play Supes as that, hey, help her, whatever. I don't know. Yeah. So moving on to the next storyline. We'll find out. Yeah. Labyrinth, a favorite of many, many geeks and nerds. There's a sequel being made, and Scott Derrickson, the director of Doctor Strange that just exited Doctor Strange 2, is known for many films, including the horror films like Hellblazer, or not Hellblazer,
Hellraiser?
Hellraiser, yes. He does Hellraiser films.
Close enough.
A lot of horror films. He is signed on to direct. First, we don't know who's cast into it. We don't know if Jennifer Connelly's coming back. We don't know if they're replacing Goblin King, which I want thoughts on that. But what do you guys think about them making a Labyrinth 2 so far down the line? what do you want? Do you want like a little horror kind of to it? Because there had a little bit more of an adult theme to Labyrinth. And if there's somebody that you want to see play the Goblin King,
if they were to do this to where it's a complete like retelling of the story, I'd be on board with it because then they can go a different route. But this is the fact that they're calling it a sequel means it's going to be direct correlation to the original movie, which I feel at this point there's no reason for it to be sequeled or remade or anything like that. The fact that we don't get, we don't have Bowie to play in the role, it's just I just don't. The magic that was that movie was the puppets and everything that was used during Henson's era at that time. What they would do now is going to completely redo the entire story and the entire basically, essence of what this movie is supposed to be, and it's going to ruin it. And I think that if they don't do it right, it could be damaging enough to where it ruins the legacy of this movie.
As far as the movie goes, I'm glad it's a sequel, not a reboot, because a reboot definitely would be pointless. I don't mind a sequel, though. I mean, people flipped out about Mary Poppins having a sequel after so many years, and it was fantastic.
But they
did great.
They held true to what Mary Poppins was, though.
But yeah, you can stay true to what this is. There's no reason why you can't. It's the same production company. You're still going to have the Jim Henson company involved, so there's no reason why it's going to be completely and utterly crap. I think the sequel is going to be great. Where I'm going to have a problem is if they cast the wrong person. If they do decide to bring the Goblin King back, there are only 2 acceptable choices. You have 2 acceptable choices, and I'm going to make them very clear right now. Number 1, it's Neil Patrick Harris. If you get Neil Patrick Harris involved, best thing that you could do.
You just changed my mind. You just changed my mind, Super.
Yes. If you don't get him involved, the only other person that is acceptable is the guy that played Elton John in Rocket Man. What's his name? Taron Egerton?
Yep.
Those are the only 2 acceptable choices. I love David Tennant. Do not get me wrong. I don't think David Tennant is the right choice for the Goblin King. I could see him playing another role in the movie, but I think your 2 choices with the singing ability and the effeminate almost looking, because David Bowie was very effeminate for his time, and the 2 of them with Neil Patrick Harris being in Hedwig and the Angry Inch and whatnot, I think that he would perfectly encapsulate that role. And of course with what Taron did with Rocket Man, I do freaking love David Tennant though. And he's involved in it too. Oh God, how awesome would that be? I don't know what David Tennant would play, but could you imagine Neil Patrick Harris and David Tennant in the same movie? I don't think it could. I don't think it could.
You changed my mind already.
I'm gonna bring up one thing that I bring up to everybody that talks about recasting him. But first off, in the chat room, Squirrel Boy said, "Dear God, please don't give us a messy CGI David Bowie." He wants Masonic Vader to be the Goblin King.
I'm down with that.
So, and he's the one that brought up David Tennant as well. But anybody that plays the Goblin King has to be able to feel David Bowie's codpiece, because you can't be the Goblin King without that. That's
okay.
The most noticeable thing about him. And there.
So there's my 2 cents on this or this. First of all, I like the fact that they are keeping it within the Henson family. I believe his daughter is producer and his son executive producer, I think it is.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, but now here's the thing. I'm not a big... There's some movies you just can't touch. And there's some movies that just kind of escape the realm of trying to recreate the same magic unless you have all the pieces together. So, for example, when they're talking about Back to the Future remakes, you have all the pieces possibly there to do a Back to the Future remake. It might happen. I'm just saying. I'm giving you an example. However, not having David Bowie is a huge minus. And so far, from what I read up on it, they had talked about possibly bringing Tilda Swinton, who played the head magician from Doctor Strange, and I don't know where else. She's been in a lot of different movies.
Oh God, she's been in everything. She was the White Witch.
She's been mentioned for it.
Switch and Matrix
as the Goblin King.
Yeah, I mean that's something that's come up. Which is a
bless
possibility.
your heart. No.
Here's the thing.
Goblin Queen, Yeah. But I'm just saying. But overall, though, I don't know. I think it wouldn't be worth their time to do it. I think it would be too much pressure for them to come out with something. And if it doesn't come through, like more likely won't, because like I said, it's an untouchable remake. You can't redo it. You can make a sequel, but a sequel after so many years and losing one of the main characters just isn't going to be, it's not going to happen. It really can't. I would leave it alone.
Elle, do you have any thoughts? I don't even know if Elle even knows what Labyrinth is.
Oh no, I do.
Okay.
I do. And you guys, we've been on several casts together, so you might remember that I'm terrified of scary movies. And oh yeah, Labyrinth terrified me when I was a child. So no, they don't need to do it again. They don't need to bring in a horror director to do it again. Although, if they were to cast the Goblin King again, honestly, I would say Alexander Skarsgård.
Yeah, Scoreboy Nemo says Aidan Gillen. Cannon Fodder brings up not like having Darth Vader in Star Wars, and that's the thing. They don't have to do the Goblin King. That would make me mad if they actually recast the Goblin King. This is in another world. There's so many. They had to go through so many different lands. They could explore other parts of the labyrinth. It's a giant labyrinth.
No,
so
well, that makes sense. But understand something. When you watch Labyrinth, you watch it for the outstanding role that David Bowie played. I mean, that was like back then that was unheard of, because David Bowie at the time was just a musician, a flamboyant musician who transcended, that did so much craziness in the music industry that it just made sense to cast him, and no one knew what was going on. And when they saw him do what he did, it was like taking a right punch. It was like taking an uppercut cut from Mike Tyson. I mean, that's how hard
they would do. They would do what they always do. They'd bring another rock star to play the role, like they do in other remakes.
If you're gonna get another rock star then to do it, your perfect choice is Adam Lambert.
I was just about to say that. Damn it, Super! You took everything tonight.
So I mean, it sounds like we're kind of mixed on either wanting it or not. But I still think that they can do it just without having. I just don't touch Bowie. That's the thing about it. They can do other storylines. I have faith because this is something that's been in the works. Labyrinth 2 sequel has been in the works since.
Damn you, Squirrel Boy! Don't put that evil on us, Ricky Bobby.
Oh God, come on!
Oh man,
Machine Gun Kelly.
That's awful. That's terrible.
No, but maybe Post Malone.
Oh my gosh.
You know what?
I would just throw Eminem in there while we're at it.
His role in the Mark Wahlberg movie wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
You know, all the songs would be just mumble rap. No, don't get me wrong. I love Post Malone, but
you know what? I got it. At this point, he can't do wrong. Put The Rock in there. Dwayne Johnson can pull it off.
John Cena. Just put Cena in it, man.
Like,
Cena's everywhere now.
They cast
that codpiece.
And it's true.
Okay, moving on to the next quick topic. Mandalorian has done something fantastic. It changed the rules for the Golden Globes. The Golden Globes had rules about who could be nominated for things, and it turns out that even though he wasn't nominated last year, the actor that played Mando could have been nominated. He qualified now under the new guidelines, because with all the mask wearing that happens in Hollywood nowadays, as long as you see the actor's face at least once, they can get nominated for a Golden Globe. And this is due to The Mandalorian.
It's awesome and yet ridiculous. I mean, if they can show that, obviously he played the role and was in there in the suit the entire time, it shouldn't disqualify him from playing the role or getting put up for the award, because that he made that role what it was. And the fact that the show was so transcending and such a high caliber show, and Lemon loved it, that he missed out on his opportunity to get the award there, because who knows what's going to happen with season 2. But it's ridiculous. It's awesome that they're changing the rules finally, because they always should evolve and change rules as needed. And I think right now is a great time. But there's no reason why he shouldn't have been able to be nominated and to even win an award for his performance as the Mandalorian, because he did a fantastic role last year.
Okay, but can we actually I don't know. When I read this, I thought it was almost kind of like, it's not that they made a rule. It sounds like they just adjusted a rule or something. But I mean, when it's all said and done, I don't know. I mean, I could see if someone's wearing a mask or something where you can't see their face, but they could earn any type of award for it. I don't think Mandalorian as a whole would have won it. I didn't see anything crazy, outrageous acting out of it. You know, I mean, it was playing the Mandalorian, but I mean, but I didn't see Emmy winning performances out of it. It was just an incredible series that integrated a lot of stuff from it. But it does bring up a good point that can an actor actually, you know, transcend a mask or something? Because a lot of times when you talk to actors, in fact, if you watch the video they have on Disney Plus right now about the Mandalorian, the creation of it, Carl Weathers brought up a good point, saying it was so hard to work with him as far as acting at first because of the simple fact that he's in the mask and you can't see his facial expressions and all this other stuff. So I understand why they did it, and I'm glad they did make a change like that. However, I don't think Mandalorian would have been an Emmy-winning performance for him.
I thought the article said that it was a rule that it was just for so long, if you wore a mask the entire time, you couldn't be nominated, but then they went back through the rule and they're like, oh wait, we totally could have, and like, whoops.
The rule was that anybody who's in a mask, you don't see them at all throughout the series, or they're just a voice actor, then they can't be nominated for the role.
Yeah, since he came out of the mask on the last episode, that made him eligible to get an Emmy.
They kind of were aware, but then it kind of goes to like for all the award seasons and stuff, and like what qualifies? Is it just you have to see your face? Because if you think about it, then the Pepsi girl could have won a Golden Globe for her role as Helen Keller in The Miracle Worker back in like '98. She doesn't say anything. But is that kind of the same thing? You see her face, but she doesn't really say anything. So you might not see his face, but he's still saying stuff. I get like where animation could kind of be like voice acting is kind of a whole different thing. But was he really voice acting or was he acting? Like where do you draw the line?
There's my problem with this rule, and I hope that it opens up a new way for things like actors like this to get nominated for stuff. Andy Serkis for Rise of the Planet of the Apes did a phenomenal job. It was a full acting. Everything you see, even though it's covered over him with CGI, is him. If you go back and look, his facial expressions are exactly what Caesar's facial expressions are. He did a phenomenal job in that, but he had no opportunity to get nominated for anything because of the type of actor that he is. And that's what I hope that this opens up the gate for. That now that if you show your face for a second, maybe they'll figure out some way to put Andy Serkis into a role that well again and show his face for 1 second so he can get nominated for something.
Yeah.
Well, they need to fix it all together anyways, because Jamie Foxx doing freaking Ray Charles doesn't win a damn Oscar, then what the hell?
Yeah.
No, he did, I thought.
Who got nominated?
He definitely got
nominated. He didn't win.
Who won that year then?
Who knows? But Will Smith didn't win it for Muhammad Ali. Those are two of the best individual portrayals I've ever seen.
I thought the reason Will Smith was because he won. Oh, I'm Googling that right now because I swear to God he won.
Well, then you get like Hal Holbrook, who is in Into the Wild, and he was only on screen for like 5 minutes.
Yes,
by the way,
Jamie
Foxx did win Best Actor that year.
Yes,
he did? I thought he won. No, I didn't think he won.
Best performance by an actor in leading role. He was the Oscar.
My bad.
Will Smith did get nominated but not win. But yeah.
Sorry, mixed them up. Sorry.
No worries.
But it doesn't matter how long you're on screen. Look at freaking Alec Baldwin getting nominated for Best Supporting Actor for his portrayal in Glengarry Glen Ross. That was a total of 3 minutes, I think, in the entire. So it has nothing to do with how long you're on the screen. But just because you wore a mask your entire role, you could not get nominated before, and now they're retroacting it because there is more makeup, there is more mask stuff that's going on. Your superheroes are becoming a more prevalent thing. I just like that it was a Star Wars TV show that caused them to look back at it.
Sure.
And you do technically see him with his mask off for like 30 seconds. So
that's
what they brought them up to this.
Yeah. I think if it's you in a costume, to me, it shouldn't matter. I mean, if you're going to nominate people from Avatar, which had CGI crap all over you, it makes no sense.
But they wouldn't have been. Yeah, go ahead.
But now here's the other thing, though. You got to think of it like this. Let's just take Mandalorian for a second. You have a full-on helmet, so you don't see his face or
face
anything,
a
right?
lot.
Now, here's the downside to that. How much acting is he actually doing in the role then? Because
acting isn't just about motion and movement.
No.
Acting is
I
about
know
the delivery as well.
I
His
understand.
delivery of the roles is what carried that show.
The delivery of the role, the action from the role, and everything. There's a hard way to be able to delineate between, what is his and what is the act, or this. Let's just say the stunt double, or the person who does all the other stuff. That's the hard part about having, a full-on mask.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
At the same time, they already came out and said that he was in that suit the entire time they were making that movie or that show.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. It wasn't just him that one time that took his helmet off.
He had 2 stunt doubles.
No, that's for the fighting scenes though. But for the acting scenes, he was wearing that suit the entire time. There's a reason why, even in the picture, he left the helmet on to be in that role, even in a picture.
Yeah. He's pretty method in that role. I just don't know if there was an episode strong enough.
No, he wouldn't have been nominated. But like I said, it was just because of the fact that they changed the rule because they looked at it even before he wouldn't have qualified for it. But because he showed his face for the so many, now you can actually see the actor, so you can actually say, "Oh, that's the actor. We can nominate him," and that's how they got around the mask.
Yeah.
So now you'll see people pop out of their masks more often, I'm sure, just so that they can get a chance to get nominated.
Yeah.
Well, what about somebody like Tom Hardy, who most of the time, like in damn near every role he's in, his mouth is always covered.
But you see his eyes,
and
that's the expression of an active, so they'll take that.
It
really is.
Well,
I'll take Tom Hardy any day, but I'm just saying.
I think we're on the wrong podcast for Elle tonight. She's on the hot streak for a lot of, Henry Cavill, Tom Hardy. Should we just say Ryan Reynolds to get it over with?
This is the Hot Meat Nerd podcast.
No, just give me all the pretty things.
Okay. Squirrel Boy says this is the way. Jack agrees that Andy Serkis deserves mass awards. Can actors that are in animated films eligible to win? No, not for best actor or anything. They can. Don't they
have like an animation category for that? Yeah, that's what they were talking about in the thing. Is that if he would have won any type of Emmy with the prior rules, it would have been. Well, it could have been for voice actor. It would have been for. I mean, those are the only 2 ones that have masks: either voice acting or animation, and that's it. Yeah. It couldn't actually be an actual acting role.
Ruru 2 joins us in the chat room. Brings the toilet paper. Where was that? Like 3 weeks ago. We needed it then, Ruru.
No, it was like about a month ago, and I would have paid top premium for that. Now you screwed up. Now I'm going to give you $5 for a roll.
Okay, let's move on to the last topic of this week, and that was the failure to launch for SpaceX. It was all hyped up. The first, watch this live. Watch the SpaceX launch live, and due to weather, it didn't happen. But there were some cool things that were found out about it, which I have to go find again really quick.
I got it right here if you want.
Unless you have it, go for it. the couple of cool things.
You want me to list them off?
Yeah,
go. Let's go. Yeah.
All right. So what we got on here is that they talked about the breakfast. They have their steak and eggs, like as they always do.
That wasn't steak and eggs. That was freaking crazy steak and eggs. Like freaking some high level chef made that stuff.
Finely cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Kelly Clarkson did her video presentation of the Star Spangled Banner,
and we're moving forward.
Yeah. Tesla.
Oh, come on. She's
to the launch pad.
That's
with ISS bound as their license plate as they were taking their way to it, since it's the first time they've been on the pad in decades or over a decade. And then we also had almost a decade.
Yeah.
They repainted the white room, which is the last room before they actually board the shuttle, and they now have basically made that the signing wall. So basically, any astronaut that goes through now will now sign their name on that white wall.
And the significance of that one was it was actually the same room that they used for the Mercury program, which was nice. So they've added some of the previous history to it.
I thought it was the Gemini program.
Gemini and
Mercury, I think both did it.
Right. Hitchhiking Dino. They took a dinosaur. They say it could have been a dragon, but it looks like it's a velociraptor sitting third seat over. So they took that with them. Whether it's for a ride or for them to test gravity, who knows? But they had that on there with them as well. And then AC/DC was the music they played as they rocked out on their way to the launch pad.
The first song. What was
for the first song?
Yeah.
Back to Black.
Of course. I mean,
I thought it was freaking cool, man. It looked like the 2001: A Space Odyssey, kind of like the all white and black and the touch screens. Like that's a pimped out freaking space station. I mean, or spaceship. It looks pretty sick.
I mean, they did look like they were about to just go have a fencing match, but you know.
Yeah, those spacesuits are a little bit easier to move around in, apparently.
What do you guys think of the stuff? Even though we got a failure to launch. We didn't get a launch, so now all this little cool things. They can't just do the same stuff over again, can they? Or do they have to come?
Well, they'll go through the same process. I have a friend who is in NASA, and they have their same processes, so you'll see the same exact stuff. It was just nice seeing something finally, because it sucks that for the last decade or nearly a decade we haven't launched anything from U.S. soil, and we've had to go over to the Soviet Union to do that. So it's awesome that we've been able to actually start something up here again, because I mean, there's a whole generation of kids that aren't going to be excited about going to space. Now we're going to be able to start that up again, and to do it in a way that they have that ship, how it looks on the inside, making it more modern. I mean, there's a lot of, for my generation, man, I think Space Shuttle, and the Space Shuttle looked like it was still from the 60s on the inside. So it's nice to see that everything was updated. Looks like Interstellar. I mean, it literally looked like something from Interstellar. It was awesome.
I think that the spacesuits totally look really slick, but still, like, the mobility in them probably isn't that great. So I'm just imagining the dude like, hey man, can you pass me the aux in the back of the Tesla, and can't reach it when they played their AC/DC. No, it's super cool. It does look slick, and it sucks that they couldn't launch it. But I think it also shows that astronauts are like the biggest nerds ever, which is great. I saw the one tweet from the one NASA astronaut who bought a NASA shirt like from Target because he was so excited to be part of NASA. Like, who wouldn't be?
Hell, I dream to go to NASA. But by the way, May 30th, so tomorrow at 3:22 Eastern Daylight Time, so that would be 12 o'clock here, 12:22. They will relaunch, and it sounds like it's going to be a go. No weather conditions pending there. I think it's going to be clear and good.
So let's hope it happens. Their full playlist was Back in Black. The reason for that was that they were back on Launchpad 39A, which the astronauts haven't launched from since 2001 or 2011. Then they went to Elevator Music from the Blues Brothers, the girl from Ipanema. And then they finished off with the Star Spangled Banner, the Army French horns version, they said. Because both the astronauts have served both in the U.S. military. So, do you guys have any other thoughts on the cool little things that were figured out, even though we didn't have a launch?
No, but I am excited. Hope that it does go off tomorrow with no issues, and that we get a shuttle launch. That'd be pretty awesome to see.
It would be interesting to see if they actually have some of the same features as the old spacesuit, because seriously, they were in that space capsule for 3 hours without moving. I'm sure they had to go to the bathroom sometime or another. There's something also awesome about the space capsule. I don't know if you guys went into it. I'm big into this stuff. Interesting thing about it is that in the space shuttles and everything, you just had an individual seat that was set up and designed and was able to absorb shock. Not as much you expected, though. The newer seats were actually molded for each individual person, which is great. They've got protective foam and everything around it is molded for them, and it's designed for the individual astronaut itself to help out with suppression of G-force as they're getting launched up. So, I want to go to space. I need to start saving some money.
Well, for 3 hours, it's Tesla, so they have the pea suits from Dune that recycle everything.
Hell yeah, they probably drank it later too.
Yeah, Ruritudes if they have diapers. And it takes 19 hours to get to the space station. So,
Papa Zanny, you'd be good.
There you go.
You could pop a Zanny, I'd be staring at the world like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? That'd be a great trip, let me tell you.
Vader be there on the shuttle. I've got the whole world.
Well, they need to get up there to set up this. They need to get up there to set up the space station and get everything prepped for the Tom Cruise film. So.
I gotta get ready for the Death Star. What are you talking about?
Okay, we went a little long tonight, but that is this week's cast. That is the All Things Nerd podcast. Thank you guys for joining us and chiming in and being a part of the show. This is where we talk about where to follow everybody. Elle, I know they can't follow you anywhere, but tell them where they can find you elsewhere.
You can hear the sound of my melodious voice on the Malice Corp website, on the Stitcher and all that for the Malice Corp actual play, and also hear the voice of David writing his tiny bicicleta to skew. So that's where you can find us.
Bearded Master, where can people follow you?
You can follow me, A Bearded Master, on Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow my wrestling page at Boot to the Face on Twitter and Boot to the Face _ on Instagram at all times.
And Super Whovian Freak, where can people go tell you happy birthday?
You can follow me on Twitter at Super Whovian Nut or on Instagram at Super Whovian Freak. Might not be on Twitter for a little bit because it's kind of a dumpster fire right now. But I will eventually be back on there, and on Instagram you can always talk to me on Instagram. So
Pete, because we're waiting for you to shout it out, brother.
Oh Jesus.
Oh yeah, I guess Pete Opolis has a great comment.
It almost happened during Superman talk. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, Piopolis had a great comment. We should go ahead and help him out since he's out there. Hey, why was Nick Cage not mentioned in any of the pilots?
Maybe he's haunting my apartment.
Nick Cage is not at your apartment. I hope not.
Yeah, Nick Cage could be haunting her apartment. So
that would be funny.
I mean, it makes sense. Nick Cage
have you seen the bad Photoshop that's been coming out of this podcast lately? If he's been seeing that the bad Photoshop that's been coming out of this podcast lately, he might be haunting somebody from it.
Hey, I don't know that.
Okay, Masonic Vader, where can people follow you outside of this cast?
You can follow me at Masonic Vader 71 on the PlayStation Network. Masonic Vader on Twitter. You could also check me out streaming on Saturday and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time here on the Malice Corp Twitch channel. We'll be streaming some Stranded Deep and then probably The Last of Us on Sunday. And I think I might actually be getting into that gaming channel thing too, man. So you might hear me on that cast as well.
Hell yeah.
Word, homie.
Nice. If you want to follow this entire network of geeks and nerds, head on over to malice-corp.com. Join us every Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, twitch.tv/Malice Corp. Join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/all things nerd podcast. It's a fun time over there. That's where we talk about what we're going to be talking about for the week and have memes and GIFs and all types of fun stuff. So come and join the group over there. And you can check us out on Twitter at All Nerd Podcast. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Mest_Malice Corp or on Instagram at Mest5150. And that's it. Thank you guys again. You keep nerding on, and we will see you next Friday.